Yoruba Union lambast Tinubu, very shameful that he benefited from activism but turned state machinery on peaceful protesters. Yoruba social cultural group Igbimo Majekubashele Yoruba has stated that it is very shameful and disappointing for President Bola Tinubu, who once benefited from activism and public resistance, to turn the machinery of the state against peaceful protesters demanding the release of Nnamdi Kanu. The Yoruba group also accused Tinubu's administration of allegedly plotting to assassinate human rights activist Omoyele Sowore for his continuous advocacy for justice and democracy in Nigeria. The group warned that any harm that befalls Sowore will be met with strong resistance. Sowore should keep himself so that nothing will happen to him, because if something happens to him, nothing will definitely happen. It's just smart that they are making, they will be met with strong resistance. After something has already happened to him, I go from Yoruba people and could spark international condemnation. Okay now. In a statement released on Sunday and jointly signed by the union's convener Olusola Badero and its home director Princess Balogun, the group condemned the attack on Sowore during the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest in Abuja, describing it as a premeditated attempt on his life. According to the statement, security operatives reportedly fired live bullets and tear gas at peaceful protesters demanding the release of detained indigenous people of Biafra IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. The union noted that Sowore was deliberately targeted by state agents for his unwavering criticism of the government's disregard for court orders and human rights violation. That's what they'll be planning to do to him. If they can't really hold him, arrest him or do anything, let's come and take him out of the way. We'll say it's accidental discharge. Thank God he ran away. Thank God he was able to escape. Our attention has been drawn to the violent attack during the Free Nnamdi Kanu protests in Abuja, where Nigerian security agencies opened live fire on peaceful demonstrators. It was clear that Sowore was a primary target. We condemn this action in its entirety and hold the Tinubu administration responsible for any attempt to silence him through intimidation or violence. The Yoruba Union described Sowore as a hero of democracy and justice who has consistently stood for truth and the oppressed, regardless of ethnicity or religion. The group said it was unacceptable that a government led by a Yoruba man was allegedly using state forces to hunt a fellow Yoruba son who had dedicated his life to fighting injustice. It is shameful and disappointing that President Tinubu, who once benefited from activism and public resistance, has now turned the machinery of the state against genuine activists like Sowore, the union said. Instead of protecting peaceful citizens, the government now treats protesters as enemies while negotiating and rehabilitating known terrorists. The irony. The irony of life, this country, I don't even get it. Igbimo Majekubashele Yoruba further argued that Tinubu's government has lost the moral right to lead Nigeria, citing its continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu despite Supreme Court judgment ordering his release. If the court has discharged and acquitted Nnamdi Kanu, why is he still in detention? A government that claims to uphold the rule of law should not cherry-pick which court orders to obey. The group said, calling for international attention, Igbimo Majekubashele Yoruba announced plans to petition the United States government, the United Kingdom, the European Union, and the United Nations to investigate what it described as state-sponsored persecution of activists in Nigeria. The group urged the foreign government to caution President. Those ones, are you sure they really care about us? We are the ones that will save ourselves from these people, and God helping us. It's only God that will help us and deliver us from these people. The group urged the foreign government to caution President Tinubu and hold his administration accountable for any further attacks on human rights defenders, especially on Sowore. With the orchestrated violence witnessed in Abuja, Tinubu has shown it does not deserve the seat of presidency. The statement concluded his government has become a symbol of oppression, and Nigerians must resist any attempt to silence voices of freedom and justice. We as Omoluabi will not tolerate injustice or tyranny. Nigeria cannot move forward when activists are being hunted and silenced for demanding fairness and justice. It is well, God that really saved Sowore today be that. Muhammad says it's unfortunate that some individuals choose to engage in personal attacks rather than engage in meaningful dialogue. President Tinubu remains focused on the greater good of Nigeria. So he's focused on greater good and will not be distracted by any attempts at blackmail or divisive rhetoric. As a former activist himself, President Tinubu understands the importance of peaceful protest, but he also recognizes the need for law and order. So that is why you would want to shoot somebody that is protesting. This Mohammed Shetima, are you Rasha? Your name self is already showing that you don't have sense. Joe said the day is coming when Monkey will go to the market and he will not return back. Let him continue. But let the APC be guided that there is a way you will beat a goat and it will bite you. Peter Comrie says, Ishore can what's this one? St. John says, an African popular day goes like this. When one points a finger at you, at least 3 of his finger points back at him. There is absolutely no peace for the wicked. At Adewale Sani says, which Yoruba leaders? Femi Adi says, Shafe says, which of the Yoruba Union please? Their name is Zena. Majeko Baje. Are you blind? I can't you see? Bazakolade says, which of the Yoruba Union? Which kind of question be that? Asuguru Oluchi says, wala. So now even him own tribes don't like him again. Una must like him because in they favor all of una. Oh, una goodness. Waiting this one they talk now. Ben Akekbedu says, to criticize is very easy. Anybody can. But to be criticized is another thing. Afero says, which of the Yoruba Union? Okay. Achizi Sunday says, he's reaping what he sow. Pastor Chima says, he wants to destroy the ladder he used to climb to the top. Vincent Uguru says, the heat don't they touch every tribe, or even in tribe, no come like their HOD. Oh, so now he no come the favor, na be now vote am, so na must like him. Athenry says, he don't smoke colos, na see eye. At Oluseyi says, I remember when they protested against Jonathan, yes, so. And nobody stopped, nobody used tear gas on you, nobody used gunshots, live gun to shoot you. Protesting against them, and now other people want to protest, you don't want them to protest. Now, wow. Atame says, the business your already chopped today, I thought we'll have learned small lesson. Prochima says, there's a saying in my place that to say he who buys with machete, don't allow somebody with machete to stay at his back. Adibara says, if they put Papa Ayabo down and Sheyi father call Tinubu, which one I go take? Oga, Papa Ayabo fine pass, so. Hey God, that Stephen says, Amoyedesha exemplifies profound courage. It's having a prominent voice in the national climate where fear often suppresses dissent. His willingness to lead peaceful protests against the Tinubu-led government, despite the evident personal risk, warrants significant admiration. He has effectively highlighted the critical national challenge, the struggle to uphold the rule of law and respect judicial orders. Consequently, his actions transcend mere protests. They represent a fundamental call for justice and a powerful demonstration that true patriotism involves holding power accountable, even under perilous circumstances. Ken Oshel says, see him wicked face. Emmanuel says, now this man then they call Caesar for Bible. Hi God. MK Emmanuel says his days are short already. It is well. My listeners, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Thank you for listening. See you some other time. Bye.